12 weeks. He also hosts a nationally syndicated radio talk show, the great one, I call him, Mark Levin. Thank me. Welcome back to the program.
Pleasure. How are you?
All right. First, Mark, let's get your initial impression of the speech tonight.
You know, it was very painful, incoherent, a lack of reality almost. Here's the thing. They keep talking about expanding health care. You heard the governor just speak about that, and reducing costs. No, they're not going to expand coverage and reduce costs. They're going to reduce coverage and expand costs. How do we know this? Because Medicare has done that, because Medicaid has done that. They do not want to address this issue of cost. Obama couldn't do it. It took him 5 minutes to give a non-answer because it is a massive tax increase that will be swallowed up by the massive bureaucracy, just like the stimulus is, just like everything else is that they do.
Mark, why do you think so many people, you spend a lot of time on this on your radio show. I spend a lot of time on my radio show right here on TV. You really lay it out very well about status in the book. But there seems to be a significant portion of the population that, in spite of all of Obama's predictions on the economy that have been wrong, in spite of the massive, 9 times as the cost of Medicare than original projections, bankruptcy of Social Security, people still look to the state for the answer. Why is that?
Well, I'm thinking that's starting to change a little bit. Last time I was on, I said I thought conservatism is on the ascendancy. I think it is now. Because Obama does one thing well, talks. And even that he's starting to do poorly based on tonight's performance. He doesn't even understand this issue. He doesn't even comprehend the basics. He's not even interested in the basics. He's an ideologue, and what he's pushing for is a massive transfer of liberty and property to the government from the private sector. He doesn't really care how we get there. He can't possibly believe all the crap that he and the Democrats are putting out about, well, if you have this, we're going to take care of it, and that you're going to. Well, Medicaid doesn't do that. Medicare doesn't do that. Canada doesn't do it. Britain doesn't do it. They keep creating this phony utopia, and the American people, they have a disconnect with the American people right now. The American people don't believe this. They don't want this.
Mark, he's gotten basically everything that he's wanted. He has both houses of Congress. They're blaming the Republicans, which is almost laughable here. But more importantly, he's attempted to ram this down the throat of the American people without any specifics. He doesn't want any debate. He doesn't want any cost analysis of this. The CBO scored it up, and then they threatened to take it to the OMB and get the numbers that they think will work. They don't describe who pays, except that they want to tax the rich. It seems like he's very arrogant, and as much as after getting everything he wants, now he seems to be a little unhinged that people are balking. Have you noticed this quality emerge?
Yes, he's very arrogant and he's very thin when it comes to actual knowledge and substance. That's becoming quite clear. So today's press conference could have been a press conference he gave a month ago. Yeah. He didn't say anything we don't already know. And when he does say things, it's almost schizophrenic, as I said. They keep talking about cutting costs, and then they keep talking about expanding coverage.
Let me ask you this.
There's something called the law of physics, you know?
Yeah, well, it becomes mathematically impossible to accomplish all this. Well, how do you answer this charge? I mean, you've got these, you got liberal commentators that get these thrills running up and down their leg every time the anointed one talks. You know, these other idiot commentators out there that don't understand conservatism. They don't understand why you now have over 1 million copies in print after 3 short months of your book. And these idiot commentators are out there, and they're saying, well, the conservatives don't want any solutions out there. Nothing could be further from the truth if they listen to people like you and me and Rush or read your book.
It's very ignorant. As a matter of fact, there are proposals out from conservatives like Cantor in the House and DeMint in the Senate, Cato Institute, the Heritage Foundation. We believe in true reform, like Edmund Burke did, true reform. What Obama says about reform is really destruction. He wants to destroy the greatest health care system in the country. Here's what I know. During his press conference, he didn't say one word about the wonders of the American health care system, the millions and millions of people who work in it and do it, in many cases, selflessly, all the people they help, all the people they save. We have foreigners pouring over our borders to get access to our health care system. And what Obama and the Democrats are trying to sell is that the health care system stinks when the American people know it does not, and we have a better idea, which is more government, and we're going to give you more health care for less money. You know what that is? That's snake oil, and the American people are too smart for that.
Well, we got to hope the Blue Dog Democrats step up here, Mark, because, and by the way, they better be prepared. And they better not have whatever secrets they have. They better be careful, because the Chicago way is now coming their way.
Well, let's be clear. If they buckle, they're going to be defeated, and we're going to target it, and we are going to defeat them.
All right, great one. Congrats on the book, Liberty and Tyranny. Thank you for being with us, and God bless us.
God bless.
You look great in that bunker.
You too.
And
I really do. Thank you.
And coming up, a North Carolina mall is kicking a conservative store to the curb, plus a special investigation, you don't want to miss this, into a patient dumping scandal involving Michelle Obama at a hospital she worked at, and our great, great, great American panel.
Let freedom ring. Let the